Well, our next film, you won't have any problem finding because it's plastered all over Netflix at the moment. It is the third in Pablo Larrain's trilogy about doomed women. First was Jackie, next was Spencer, and this time Maria.
Yeah, Maria. Is it the third and the final entry in a trilogy, or is he going to continue making these forever? I don't know if he's been on record saying that it is a trilogy and this is it. I haven't heard if that's like for real, but
True.
it does certainly seem to me like he could keep on making these movies.
He could. I mean, like, go back and, make something different every once in a while, but you can keep dipping back into this well if you want.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, everyone has a different opinion on that, I'm sure.
Do Minnie Riperton next.
Yeah. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I was looking through his filmography and I haven't seen any of his other movies other than these three, his version of a biopic about these three women.
Yeah, I always wanted to see the Gael Garcia Bernal film No.
Same. I still have
I
never
even
seen
had
it.
a copy of it and never got around to it.
He's worked with him a couple of times, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it all started this kind of his fascination with depicting famous, iconic women in history with the Jackie Onassis movie, Jackie, with Natalie Portman, which many people consider the best of the three. I would have to say I agree with that. Um, it's definitely one of Natalie Portman's best performances. I think what he did with Spencer, with Kristen Stewart playing Princess Di, um, I think that depends on how much you really kind of dig Kristen Stewart as a performer. They'll get you further with that one. That movie's a weaker movie, but I happen to be fascinated by Kristen Stewart, so I think I gave that movie more of a leash than I normally would had it been casted with another actress. So overall, I liked it. This movie is a different kind of experience for me because I'm not a huge Angelina Jolie fan.
hmm hmm
Um, I never have been. I don't know why. It's just I can't explain it. Uh, it's not to say I haven't liked her in certain things, but
Yeah.
it's been a long time since she's had a role this kind of like intriguing, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said to my wife last night, in pitching the movie to her, was saying like, I don't know how you feel about Angelina Jolie, but it's been a while since she had a role this uh, juicy to play, this challenging, this meaty. And I've never had strong feelings about her one way or the other, but I can say that she's definitely somebody I root for, you know. I root for her. I
Sure,
don't wish her any ill will.
sure. So she really does fully invest herself in Maria Callas. Um, there's a lot of I didn't know there was going to be as much kind of backstory. You learn a lot about her at different periods of her life. I thought this was going to focus solely on the last week of her life.
That's what I was thinking also, but instead there are many flashbacks.
Well, there's flashbacks in black and white from her time period where she met um, Aristotle Onassis. Who there's the link between
Jackie and yeah.
Jackie and this that does lead me to believe that this is like the full circle trilogy end. In that way, it would be a
hmm
nice way to tie it up.
Kind
Um,
of like how in Three Colors Red we see the protagonists of the first two movies
mhm.
on the shipwreck.
Yeah, exactly like that. I mean, so those flashbacks are a pretty significant part of the movie, and they're all in black and white. But then there's also other sequences with this filmmaker slash journalist slash, I don't, Cody Smith McPhee plays this character. And
Hmm.
there's Lorraine chooses to film those scenes in like sometimes grainy look, like grainy lens, but also much more handheld camera,
Handheld, yes.
which
Yes.
I was honestly distracted by.
Mm,
Um, there are certain sequences where he'll just like have one take and he'll just like constantly go back and forth really close up between the two. And just, I don't know, maybe I just don't understand what he's trying to do with that, but it was distracting.
yeah.
Um, the movie is jarring in that way, but at the same time, as much as it was distracting, I kind of admire it because how many times do we say, "Oh, another biopic done the exact same way, the conventional, rise and fall," or this guy manages to make his own version of a biopic.
Yeah, and like this is the way that you and I and people who complain about biopics commonly, this is how we want them to be, for the most part. This is what we want out of them is tunnel in on one specific part of their lives and then uh, get we can extrapolate more through that than we ever could from he's Dewey Cox has got to think about his
Mhm.
entire life before he takes the stage.
That's not the first time we're going to quote that this month.
No.
Uh, Um, I will say that I think there was maybe a little bit too much um, covered throughout her life for me in this. I think it could have been, like you just said, a really specific part of her life, like dwindled
Mhm.
down to just that last week, would have been,
Yeah.
I think, even better.
And I think part of the reason that we feel that way is that those flashbacks are the weakest part of the film. Um, I don't mind the scenes with Cody Smith McPhee, despite the fact that I feel like that character and that performance are
Hmm.
easily the weakest of the film.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't, I like what Lorraine is doing in those scenes. Um, so that doesn't bother me. Um, as much as flashing back over and over again kind of did grate on me a little bit.
sure. Yeah,
And
same.
and Aristotle Onassis is a rather grating person to begin with.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
He's
I
irritating.
I didn't know a ton about that person in general, but after watching this movie, I had to read more about him. And
Well performed. The
yes,
the 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 performance is very good, but just those all of those scenes just didn't really do a ton for me. The way the rest of the film did.
well, so let's get back to the elephant in the room, which is the performance and particularly the singing. I don't know. I was distracted by the singing at times. It felt just like expertly trained or trying to be lip syncing.
Hmm.
Which at times it works really well. At times I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But I will say that it's certainly the best she's been in a long time.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the singing because, they juxtapose it in almost every scene where she's singing, they juxtapose it with flashbacks, sort of the younger version singing. And
Mm-hmm.
in those, they use the actual audio of Maria Callas singing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, and the point of that is to show how much different she sounds now as opposed to how good she sounded before. She still sounds great. She just doesn't sound like as youthful and vibrant and strong of a voice as what she had before. And so I like that usage of having Jolie sing for real the present day stuff, and then juxtaposing it with the extra powerful, extra impressive voice of actual Maria Callas. Um, I thought that was, I didn't find it distracting. Um, and yeah, the the main conversation around this film entirely has been the movie's okay, but Jolie is the standout. That's what you need to watch it for. That's the only thing it's going to get nominated for, you know. Um, and so I was a little surprised to find that I really like the movie a lot.
Hmm.
And I don't think people are giving it enough credit. There is
Um,
more to love here than just her performance, which, like you said, is the best she's been in a very long time, maybe ever, because I think she's outstanding in this. I think she's really, really great in this.
I like her in it. I don't love it. Like I said, I have some more issues than you do with some of the singing in the movie, of which there is a lot, of course. But uh she the inflections, some of the voice work trying to get the voice down as far as not singing, actually just dialogue. She
Hmm.
she goes back and forth to me a little bit.
That's true. That's true. It's not as consistent as you would want.
So I like her in it for sure. I like the movie a little less than you. I there are elements of the cinematography in this that are beautiful and just finely tuned, and there are some there are some tracking shots that are just inc
Yeah.
incredible. But
There
then
are some
there's
scenes that are just really, really gorgeous. This is so well photographed. And like that very first scene when her and Cody Smith McPhee leave the house and they come upon a group of people singing,
Mhm,
and you realize that that's not real.
right.
The whole way that that is shot, the way that it's tracked, all of it is that was a really powerful early on scene in which I was like, oh, I think I have an idea of where, not only where this movie's going, but like stylistically what this is going to be about.
See, those are the kind of sequences that I really like. But then for me, there's too many other uneven aspects of the style he chooses to go with. But
Hmm.
so I don't like it as much as you do.
I think there's something about this film in that she's a singer who can no longer do what she used to be able to do. And it's not only all she knows, but it's all she loves either. It's the one thing that gives her life purpose, that she finds satisfaction in, that she finds meaning in, she finds utility in, and it's all she wants to do. And I think I related to so much of this film. Not in that like I was ever world renowned or anything, but like I can relate to that character a lot, and like in that singing is all I want to do. It's the only thing I'm good at, and it's it's the only thing I truly love to do other than watch movies and talk about them with you. Um, and there's the older that I get and the further removed I am from that being my life and my purpose, for lack of a better word, especially now that I'm a dad. Um, there is so much melancholy that she exhibits in this film, aside from having some mental illness and some addiction issues, that really emotionally resonated with me, and I feel like made me glom on to the movie more than I probably would have. And I think that's why I actually, as much as I really, really liked Spencer, I actually think I like this just a smidge more.
Well, I can see why now. Yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah.
I can't relate to the character that Kristen Stewart is playing in that movie. But for some reason, I can relate to this character more. At least her wants and desires and her anxieties and her fears and the desperation for nostalgia, all of that I was able to relate to more. And I think that's why I really like this movie a lot.
Where does that? Well, hold on. Before we give our ratings, I have to quote our good friend Rob Patrick. I told him earlier today I was going to quote his letterboxed review of this film
I haven't read it. What is it?
because he's the most quotable person on Letterboxd.
He is. He's the best. Yes.
So 2.5 stars, Rob Patrick.
Did he really?
Pablo Larrain is Alex Garland for people with a Barnes and Noble membership.
Shut the fuck up.
I am Maria's target audience, Greek person with health issues, and yet this still doesn't work for me.
God damn it, I love that guy.
The marketing team should have had a Zenny optical tie-in with the glasses. It's a good review. It's a good
It is a
review.
very good review. Those glasses are like a supporting character all their own.
Those glasses, my grandma Phyllis had those same glasses.
I think they were just the rage in the 70s. I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right, so
Yeah.
I waffled with this movie. I really just it was a tough one to rate for me, but I ultimately ended on a 3.
I'm a solid right down the middle 4 stars on this. I like it a lot.
All right.
Well, so those are the only 2 movies that we both caught. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to ask each other about some films that we got to see that the other person didn't happen to catch, either due to scheduling conflicts, availability, or because they looked like trash and we had no intention of seeing them.
All right.
So we'll be right back. So I'm pretty surprised. Lara felt the same way that you and Rob did by that movie, in that not a big fan. She just thought it was okay.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. I couldn't get there all the way.
It doesn't have any one scene that is as impressive looking or as memorable as, say, like the old house scene in Spencer,
Mm-hmm.
where with the ghost, you know. Um, there's Spencer is a incredibly good looking film, and I think this is too, but in more subtle ways. And but I think that for some reason I like it more. I I don't know why I like it more though, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, Spencer doesn't have any of the problems with the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm. Neither does Jackie.
Kristen Stewart's her performance is probably a little more consistent than Angelina Jolie's, even though Angelina Jolie's highs are probably higher because that role
Mm-hmm.
is
Well,
a
she gets to
little,
chew a little bit.
yeah, it's a little more scene chewery,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Whereas Diana is a far more observant character in her
Mm-hmm.
film, you know? But I
Jolie
guess I need to
was
sit with it.
Jolie's dick was rock hard while she was making that movie. You could just
Oh,
tell.
you could tell, yeah, because she knew she had an awards possibility on her hands,
Yeah.
and I think she's deserving of it. I think it's one of the better. It's probably one of the 10 best female lead performances I've seen this year.
I'd have to look at the list again. But yeah, probably.
She's better than Rachel Ziegler in Y2K.
Ooh, is she? Are you sure?